Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Antonia and today I just thought I'd do a video about things that we need to leave in 2020 and that we need to bring into 2021. This video is heavily inspired by Nathan Zed's Bring It, Leave It videos that he does every single year at the end of the year. I love watching them and I just thought because this year has been such an unprecedented year that's brought so many disruptions and changes to life as we know it, I just wanted to sit down and just have a chat about things that I think would be best left in 2020 and things that we should try and bring into 2021 in order to make it a better year than this year. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm going to start with the leave it bits first so that we can end on a positive note with the things that I think we should bring into 2021. The first thing on my list, we need to stop standing people unconditionally. Your fave is not infallible. No one on earth is infallible, okay? Everyone is capable of making mistakes. Everyone is capable of hurting people either intentionally or unintentionally, and I think that we really need to stop with this fan culture where we assume that our favorite people, our favorite celebs, role models, idols can't make a mistake, and therefore we absolve them of any blame or of needing to take any accountability right off the bat. We need to stop that. This year, especially on YouTube, we've seen a lot of celebrities having to take accountability for their behavior or being forced to take accountability for their behavior. And what is almost sometimes more disappointing to me is the fact that fans will refuse to see the fact that their favorite person has offended a group of people or someone and that they need to take responsibility for it. And in some cases, some fans actually go on the offensive and start attacking the offended parties instead of actually just realizing that, you know, their fave has done something a bit questionable and they probably need to say sorry for it and just own up to their mistake. Like I said before, everyone makes mistakes. For people to grow and to realize that certain things are just not acceptable anymore or that certain things do offend certain groups of people, I do think it's important for those mistakes to be highlighted. No one deserves to be demonized for certain mistakes unless they're really, really severe and really, really bad, or it's repeated behavior that has been called out and no one's done anything about it. It's good for these things to be brought up so that the offending parties can say sorry and people can move on from what's happened. And I think one of the worst things that we can do as fans is pretend that these things don't happen and turn a blind eye to this sort of behavior, even excusing this sort of behavior just because it's our favorite celebrity that's doing it. It doesn't mean that you can't really like and really admire these people. I just think that it's time that communities hold their favorite creators, etc., accountable, so that hopefully we'll get to a point where these sorts of incidents that offend big groups of people in a lot of cases can become few and far between. Because frankly, I'm tired of seeing the same racism, homophobia, sexism, talking to underage fans, that sort of thing. Like, I'm tired of seeing that sort of behavior, and the reason that some people do it is because they think they can get away with it with their community. It needs to stop. These creators are people and people do need to be held accountable. Holding someone accountable isn't sending death threats and telling them that they're a terrible person and that they deserve to go to hell, etc, etc, etc. But there is a line where we as a fan base or we as like supporters of a creator or a celebrity can actually say, hey, this is not right and I think you should address this. And hopefully if that sort of behavior becomes more prevalent, then people will actually start realizing that they cannot be taking liberties that maybe they were used to taking, acting in a way that is offensive and just not right. Next thing to leave in 2020, having the same arguments on social media. I'm tired, guys. I'm exhausted. I tend to see this the most on Twitter, and now with Clubhouse becoming more popular, I see it on there as well. I'm tired of the same arguments being brought up on Twitter and Clubhouse that we've been talking about for years and years with no progress in the discussion. It's those topics like who should pay on the first date and should I leave my cheating partner or when is it acceptable to do XYZ in a relationship. Stop having these arguments on social media because it's clear that it's not really getting anywhere. I joined Twitter, you know, years and years ago, and these were the same conversations that people were having back then and we're having it in 2020. They're probably going to still be had in 2021. I think what annoys me the most is the fact that the people who instigate these sorts of conversations never actually want to learn. They never want to actually hear another opinion. They just want to talk and shout their opinion and then disregard everything else and log off. That's not a debate, that's not a discussion, that is yelling your opinion and running away. For me, I feel like it's clear that there's still some work to be had for these sorts of topics to be brought up and for the people who bring them up to actually hear anything different to what they're thinking. So for me, I just feel like leave them alone until people are ready to broach the conversation properly. It is clear that the timeline and Clubhouse do not care. They just want to yell their opinions and go. The topics are normally brought up, you know, perhaps with the hopes of a discussion, but it normally just devolves into people yelling and name calling and this and that. No one's benefiting. Let's put it to bed, okay? Maybe we'll pick it up when people are ready to actually listen to what people have to say. But for now, not worth it. Leave it in 2020. My next point kind of goes along with my previous point, but I feel like we need to leave the diaspora wars in 2020. I actually made a video about like some unpopular opinions about like, you know, African and black culture. If you want to check it out, I'll link it up here somewhere. I'll talk to the African/black diaspora because that's the diaspora that I know the most about, being in it and all. I just feel so many of our experiences, especially in like America and in Europe, are so similar. We should just be comparing experiences and talking about how people deal with other things as opposed to trying to pit ourselves against each other all the time. For me personally, it wasn't until I went into this Clubhouse room, it was African Americans versus black British people talking about some dispute over a kettle on Twitter, that I really just said to myself, like, enough is enough. We need to stop having this discourse because, again, like my previous point, it's the same opinions being recycled but nobody's willing to listen. One thing I noticed that was nice about that Clubhouse room is that some people actually were taking the time to listen to the experiences of others and, you know, educating people on, oh, this is what happens to us, this is what happens there, blah blah blah. However, for the most part, it just devolved into this like argument and just name calling again, and things that are not conducive to a proper conversation. I see it on Twitter, I see it on other apps and stuff, and I feel as though, again, if you're not willing to have a conversation or to hear about what the other side is saying, don't start the conversation. Let's stop having this conversation. We'll pick it up when people actually want to listen. But for now, it's not conducive. Stop. Leave it in 2020. Next thing on my list, we need to leave family channels in 2020. I actually wanted to make a video about family channels, especially when the Storfer family incident happened, and I still might make one in 2021, who knows. But in my opinion, family channels need to stop cropping up on YouTube. I'm sure that there are some families out there who are doing it really well and it's all cute and wholesome and no one's been taken advantage of. However, a lot of the family channels that dominate the media tend to be family channels where it's obvious that there is something else going on behind the scenes. The children involved aren't really in it, or the family dynamics are not completely there. And I'm just tired of seeing situations where I feel like people are being exploited for the sake of content and money and brand deals. I actually do think there is a right way to do a family channel. I think the model could work, but I feel like too many people are just using it for monetary gain. So either leave all the family channels in 2020 or at least popularize the family channels who are trying their best to promote an actual positive family experience without shoving cameras in their family's faces 24/7. My heart goes out to some of these kids because some of these children cannot advocate for themselves and can't say, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I don't know. Family channels, they're a bit of a sticking point for me. I feel like I will make a video about it next year because there's a lot to dissect there. Another thing to leave in 2020, switching on cameras during Zoom/Teams lectures. Sometimes I just want to chill with my bonnet on, my PJs on, in peace without anybody seeing me. And I'm tired of having to look presentable just to sit in front of my laptop, which is literally 2 meters away from my bed. I just want to be free. I get that, you know, lecturers want to make sure that people are engaged with the lecture, but I hate putting my camera on. I feel so self-conscious all the time. Even though nobody probably is looking at me, it's just the fact that someone could switch to see my camera and see what I'm doing at that point. I don't want it. And finally, for things we need to leave in 2020, unnecessary negativity. This year has been really difficult for the majority of people, and I think this year is the first year that I've really noticed how specific situations, specific conversations, specific people just make me feel really, really sad and down. And I've actually properly realized how much of a negative effect it really has on your day, your week, your mindset even. And I just feel like we need to start ditching that sort of behavior. It can be difficult because sometimes it's the people around you. I didn't realize that certain people around me were making me feel quite low a lot of the time until those people just were no longer a part of my life. And I feel a lot better off for it. So I feel like we need to just minimize the negativity that we're allowed to impact our lives. Like, some things are inevitable, some things you just have to have in your life, but especially with friends and people that you choose to spend your time with, sometimes it's for the best is to cut people off and to just live a little bit less burdened, you know. I think going into 2021, it'll be nice for people to just start to live a more positive life by trying to remove the negativity from their lives. All right, onto the positive side of things to bring into 2021. Number one, good health. And in all senses of that word. Obviously this year, the biggest threat to good health has really been Miss Rona and her infective ways. And as annoying and disruptive as it is, I do think that we just need to keep up the social and physical distancing as much as possible. It's important to recognize where this is not possible because, you know, where work is essential for people, it's not always going to be possible for you to work from home and things. But a simple thing like wearing a mask can reduce the transmission risk so much. It makes sense to just do it. I see people on my Instagram getting tired of wearing a mask and physical distancing and not being able to live life as normal. But it is so important that we keep it up as much as possible so we can slow down the transmission of Rona and we can actually get back to life as normal. I think a lot of people are looking at this vaccine as being the cure-all, and, you know, fingers and toes crossed it is, but the likelihood is even with the vaccine we're still going to need to practice physical and social distancing for a while to make sure rates actually go down. So we can't afford to get tired if we want to actually go back to normal living at some point. Obviously this year has also had an impact on just other physical health as well. I cannot even count the number of surgeries and procedures I've seen cancelled, and even just like doctor's appointments I've seen cancelled because of the global situation. If you do all the physical distancing and the social distancing and we can actually stop the transmission of Miss Rona, then we free up beds and free up appointments for people who are suffering from other conditions to actually get diagnosed and treated. It's a win-win. We just need to remember the knock-on effect that this pandemic actually is having, and even if you're getting tired, use that to strengthen you. The fact that people will actually be able to get access to the healthcare that they need in all domains. I also wanted to specifically highlight mental health. I do think it's been quite nice for me to see a lot of the creators that I follow being a lot more open about their mental health on social media with their like supporters and stuff. Even though we have a better understanding now of mental health, it can still feel like people around you don't really struggle as much as you do. So it's been quite nice to see creators that I watch and interact with being open about it. In 2021, I want to see people continuing this pattern of being open about their mental health, even if it's just amongst friends, just to have a chat about how people are feeling. Because if you can even tell one person how you're feeling, that one person may be the person to encourage you to actually seek out help, and that could end up saving your life down the line. I really hope that people do that more in 2021, and we can continue this cycle of people actually encouraging others to look after and take note of their mental health. The next thing we need to bring into 2021 is open-mindedness. In the leave it section of this video, I spoke about conversations that people start up without actually really wanting to hear anyone else's opinion, where it just kind of devolves into unconstructive, sometimes derogatory conversation. And I just hope that in 2021, people actually bring in a spirit of wanting to hear people's opinions. I love debates. I love hearing lots of different opinions from lots of different people. I think it's a really important part of life to actually be open to people's opinions. And I hope that people start to do that more, so that maybe conversations that I brought up in the leave it section could happen, but with a positive spin, where people actually learn something and actually understand what other people are coming from. Difficult conversations are really important to have in order to grow. So I do hope that people start broaching these conversations a little bit more sensitively, but actually start coming into these conversations with the intention of learning something and the intention of actually gaining something from this conversation. Now, there's certain things that are non-negotiable. So if you're trying to come into a conversation and you're trying to negate someone's rights to, you know, basic human rights, it may be met with opposition. And in my opinion, rightfully so. I don't think that people should be debating about whether someone deserves to be treated as a human or not. But in general, because not all conversations are going to be like this, I really hope that people will start taking debate debate as an opportunity to grow as opposed to an attack on them as a person. The next thing we need to bring into 2021: constructive criticism. I think there is a very fine line between constructive criticism and unnecessarily hating on people or just being horrible to people. But I do think that constructive criticism is really, really important, again, for growth. This is actually something I've really highlighted for myself, because when I'm posed with a question from friends and family, oh, what can I improve on this? Or how can I grow from this? Sometimes I find it a bit difficult to actually be brutal with my opinion and just to give it to people as they've asked for it. So that's something I really want to try and improve upon in 2021. And I think it's something that we could all do with improving upon. If we want to see proper improvement and growth in our lives, I think it is really important to know areas where you're not as strong. So in 2021, I do think it would be quite nice for people to get more comfortable with having these sorts of conversations with people and fully giving their opinions when they're asked for, of course. And the last thing I think we should bring into 2021 is growth, blessings, and new experiences. I really hope and pray we get enlightened in this new year and that things start falling into place for people, because this year has been a big spanner in the works for a lot of people. A lot of things have been cancelled, a lot of things have been postponed. Life has just been pretty much uprooted from normalcy. So I hope in 2021 we get a bit more of a sense of stability. We get things just making sense again, because this year has been a bit of a crazy one. That brings me to the end of this video. It's just been a bit of ramble for me, as most of my videos kind of are, but I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything that you think I've missed off from either of these lists. In the new year, I really hope to be able to bring you guys some more content. I apologize for the break I took. The last block of my first term was just crazy. I couldn't really keep up with the uploads, but I really hope in 2021 I'll be able to do that a bit more consistently. But yeah, if you haven't already, please give the video a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!